success is goals, step by step, to each goal that you have to get to your success. And then
Absolutely.
when you reach success, you'll know it by how it makes you feel, how it makes you move, how it makes you talk, how it makes you walk, and it's all a part about success. But it's what you do with that success. Can you make other people successful?
Right.
Can you make other people feel the way you feel? And I think that's the key that people forget about is going back to the grassroots of why are you doing what you're doing? You got to answer that. What's my purpose? What am I
Right.
doing in life? What am I supposed to be doing?
Right.
And I think life kind of throws you curveballs, but what you do is you take it on. You know, people are gonna make mistakes. No one's perfect.
Right.
You know, and I think that's the key is just keep working on you, working on having that effort, putting that motivation, that drive in. There's some
Right.
things you can't teach well, I've learned, you know.
Yep.
It's all about what's inside you.
Right. And you know, I want to share some of the things that I learned, you know, some of the basics to get people started. Okay, a lot of people have these ideas.
Because you got to have a stop point.
Right, you
in
got-
life. You got to start somewhere.
You got to have somewhere where you're gonna say, you know what, I'm just gonna take the chance. I'm just gonna do this.
Yeah.
Okay, and it begins like this. You know, you got to first be practical. Okay, you got to first think of something that it's. You want always the quality to be right. You want always things to be like, you know, market ready, if you want to say.
Sure.
But a lot of people appreciate the what do they call it? The prototype. They appreciate the prototype because it's not about sometimes the actual product, but it's about the effect that it has or the ideas that it draws in people. Because people can look behind the actual product and see what the thought process was of this product. Wow, what was this guy thinking when he made this?
Right.
And that must be, wow, so he was thinking like huge.
Yeah, and when you can know that and get to
Right.
that, to what they're thinking,
Exactly.
then you can make it better. You can
Exactly.
address it. You can take it to put it in what you would think it would be.
Right. So I want to share. So my first beginnings was I used to work at a carnival. These guys were printing these pictures on like calendars and coffee mugs and things like that. So they were using like sublimation. They were using heat transfer. So you know it was 90 degrees in the summertime. Okay. So then you know every time I was a short guy. You know people didn't really take me seriously as an adult. So like I looked like you know somebody's child. You know working in a stand. So nobody really wanted to hand me money. But every time a shirt was called to be made, they wanted me to stand in front of the 400-degree heat press and just sit there and press shirts all day. Okay, so of course, when God, you know, when life gives you lemons, you just,
Right.
you know, you make
gotta start somewhere.
you make
right?
lemonade, right?
You gotta learn the process. Right?
Exactly.
Learn
That's what I was
right.
learning. I was learning the process. Okay, so I learned, you know, how to, you know, what temperature, how long, what the pressure is, what happens when you peel it too fast, too slow, too this, too that, too cold. So I was learning all these things, not knowing. Sort of like if you ever watched The Karate Kid, like paint the fence and wax on, wax off,
Exactly.
right? Okay. So then when it came time for me to like, you know, put an idea out there, right?
First, you gotta know how to do the. You gotta do
the work, right.
You gotta do the work first.
And then
in anything.
And then the idea, okay, so what's the idea? What are you really going to do? And then, you know, by accident, I happened to receive this vehicle and, you know, I wanted to put vanity plates on it. And by chance, I put a certain, you know, name on it. It was 6 letters, you know, and I was like, wow, this fits. And just to see if I could get it. Now, in my community, you know, this word is heavily used. So I figured somebody's definitely had this idea already. Somebody definitely took the idea. So then when I submitted it for an application for the license plate, it came back as approved, and they sent me the license plate. And I'm like, oh my God,
Wow.
you know,
That's awesome.
that's life telling me, hey, your idea, you know, is a go.
Yeah.
So
it's a man from above.
exactly.
giving you
So I went with it.
the affirmation to do it.
Right, and I didn't have any graphic design experience, any of that. So I went to a print shop and said, "Look, I want this, you know, on a black background with this writing and this slogan." Boom, and then she put it on a business card for me, and I've used this business card ever since. No graphic design needed.
And sometimes it's just the simplest things that you
Simplest things. It's just a license plate.
just comes in your head one day and then boom.
But everybody's familiar with a license plate, and because it says certain things, it's vanity, so you know that it's a specialized license plate. You can only get this, you know, kind of points towards a sort of exclusivity, if you will. Okay, now I actually had the license plate too. So it's like, oh, wait, this is cool. A lot of people would want to do it, but I've already done it. So it makes me feel like I'm ahead of the pack. That was a great feeling, if nothing else. So then, when it came to funding the business, okay, again, you need money to fund the business. I couldn't fund the business. So that's where the idea of doing designs for other people came into play. Okay? Really, I started to do my design, but all that stuff costs money. So what do? Hey, you go to one person. Listen, you sell them the idea. If I had an ability to print this image on this and that, I could, do this for you. And they're like, wow, that's really good service. That's kind of worth it. I had a guy who knew that I was trying to do a t-shirt thing, and he had these patches, right?
You're forming your ideas as you're doing this.
As I'm forming my ideas.
You're forming your ideas.
Right. So I went to work, and a guy at work saw me, working on my t-shirt business, kind of like ideas and stuff, sketching stuff on paper. And he's like, oh, wow, you're doing a t-shirt business, right? He's like, yeah. So he was like, look, I got these things, right? And there were these patches, and there were these bass fishing patches, right? And he said, if you have a heat press, I've always wanted to get this on a shirt. My grandfather gave me these patches.
Wow.
But I never knew what to do with them or anything like that, right?
They're special to him.
They're special to him. Perfect, right. So I took it home for him, right? And then I put the patches on the shoulder for him. Now, of course, since I knew what I knew, right, I took it a step further. I went online. I found a guy fishing, right? And the funny thing was, it was the back of the guy on the boat. It kind of looked like the guy whose order I was doing it for. So that was the light. Bing, hey, maybe this is it. So I took the picture. I printed it on a white piece of transfer. A piece of transfer for a dark shirt, and then I cut all the excess out of the picture. So it was just the guy fishing, right, with the end of the fishing rod.
That's awesome.
And then I got an ocean blue shirt, and I put the guy on the bottom of the shirt, right, with the fishing rod, okay?
That's awesome.
And then at the end of the fishing rod, I put a safety pin, right, with a piece of yarn, and I stuck the yarn going over the shoulder,
like the line
of the fishing pole, right?
Yeah.
And then on the front of the shirt, I put a fish splashing out of the water, hooked to the end of the yarn.
And the vision.
The vision. Now, the material was cheap, Walmart materials, yarn, a safety pin, some transfer paper, and a printer, and a hand iron, okay, with some wax paper. That's the material list, if you will, okay. So some assembly required, but to see a grown man cry,
it's got to be emotional. Again, you
if
checked off every checkpoint.
Check.
Exactly.
So he, when I told this guy, I could have.
You could have put any price on that shirt you wanted to. You could have put any price you wanted.
Guy gave me $100.
Because you went above and beyond the Call of Duty.
Absolutely.
And that's what the people fail. That's why I realize, in life, I just see it more and more. People don't do the work. People don't put in the time.
Right.
People don't care.
They think you buy an expensive machine, or you have a good idea. Don't get me wrong, good idea.
It's more of that. You got to take it even a step further.
Thank you. You got to have a good idea and a good game plan and a good network and a good face of the business and a good reputation with the people you want to do the business with. And I mean, at the end of the day, though, you got to have a good product, and you got to have a good service system, like a good delivery system.
Yep.
You have a product and you deliver it well. You have a product and you deliver it well. When you get to the point...
People buy from you all the time. If they trust you,
right,
you bring value.
When you get to the point where you have a great product and a lot of people want it, and you're having trouble delivering it well, usually it's because you're not getting paid enough. That's when your price needs to go up.
Right.
Because if you have a lot of people looking for it, and it's valuable,
right,
then it should be worth, you having enough to say, hey man, this is worth a little bit more, so that I could pay a little bit more and be able to deliver the product
exactly
a little bit better.
And also, that, like we talked about before, is things that you don't do well, is you find people who do that well.
I mean,
and that's part, when it's your brand, you represent the brand.
Thank you.
That's what you got to look at.
Puff Daddy's not sitting there and stitching every single
No.
shirt that comes out of his factory. He doesn't even pick out half the stuff. All he does is approve the campaigns that his managers bring to him.
Correct.
Literally, I mean,
He expects the people that he's paying to do the job.
do the job
To
pay to do exactly. So when you get to that level, then you have that kind of freedom and fallback. But getting there, it's a lot of hands-on. It's a lot of inspiration. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. I started with, and if you're listening, here's your list. You need a hand iron, no water. So there's a saving expense. You need some sort of computer, a decent computer. Okay, you need some ink, obviously, a printer and ink. Okay, you need a printer, a decent printer. Okay, you guys can always, ask in the comments about what printers, give me what computer. You need a Photoshop or an Illustrator program to work with images. Okay, and then you need a decent, plotter or printer cutter, Cricut, something like that, if you want to, dive into a more array of products. But listen, when I started with a hand iron, a Sony Vaio computer, a Epson, the cheapest one I could find. It cost me like $75. Some transfer paper and some of those glue iron-on letters from remember was it AC Moore?
Yeah.
From them, right? And some wax paper. And I had a big bench. What I do is I would lay the shirt out and I would individually place each one of the letters, the symbols, whatever it is that I bought from AC Moore, and then I would add the picture or whatever I printed on the printer in it, so it looks like separate pieces put together. And then I would, once I glue them all in to start, then I would transfer it to the big heat press and press it on as a finished product.
Yeah.
And
people gotta understand, this doesn't happen overnight.
oh no,
You're gonna have failure. You're gonna fail at things. You're gonna fail at something you love to do. But the point is to learn from it, find out what the answer is, and find out how to do it better and do it better next time. And as you do that, you build not only self-esteem, you're becoming better at what you do, but
Right.
you're learning it as you go through the
Right.
process.
Absolutely.
I think too many people quit. Quitters and just quit and say, I didn't make any money with that, so I'm going to drop that and go to something else.
Right.
But if you keep doing that all your life, you're not going to end up anywhere.
Right.
You got to put in the time, the hard work, the energy.
Absolutely.
And like you have, since you've been doing it for 25 years, as you start at the ground up, you learned what worked.
Right.
You had ideas. You worked on the ideas.
And starting from the ground up means washing floors,
Yeah.
washing toilets.
It's okay.
That means scrubbing the deck.
Yeah.
That means standing in front of the 400-degree heat press and printing them shirts like you like them.
But do it the best that you can do.
Best that
every
you can
time.
do. And here's what it is. How people say practice makes perfect and all this other thing. You practice so that when the opportunity hits, you're ready. But here's the thing. If you keep practicing but you don't know how to spot the opportunities and take advantage of the opportunities, you got to learn where your opportunities are. Opportunity is right where you stand.
Yep.
If you can't find an opportunity where you are, that means you don't know how to find opportunity. There is opportunity everywhere you are. So don't look to move
Especially
somewhere.
with social media today.
Thank you. And go anywhere.
Friends and people and
It's-
networking. I mean, it's all around you.
Thank you.
You gotta
It's
be a hunter.
quarantine.
You gotta hunt.
It's quarantine. Exactly. It's quarantine. So everybody's in the same situation. Everybody's
Exactly.
basically in a cage with their hands tied behind their back.
Exactly.
Sigmund and Freud, how are you going to get out of this one?
Excuses is not going to pay your bills.
No.
Excuses is not going to get the job done.
And it's not magic. And it's not magic.
It
It's
takes time,
there's no.
effort, and
My friend used to tell me
patience.
there's no mouse on the wheel there's no mouse on the wheel that's going to sit there and do magic.
And everyone's different. Everyone's got different values. Everyone's got different beliefs. Everyone's got different ways they do things.
Right.
It's finding your niche, finding
Right.
what makes you jump. Don't
Right.
don't look for the money. Look
Right.
for the opportunity to showcase what you love to do.
Right.
That will turn into a business. That will turn into money. That will turn into relationships that you're building with people and companies. That's what's going to grow you. That's what's going to make you successful.
Right.
Is just keeping on the grind and grinding every day.
And I want to share with the people before we go. I want to share a story of how I got my first big account. Like, it wasn't an account like a sales account, but it was a production account that I got, and how I scaled my business to the next level with $0 up front, okay, on a handshake. And because now, once I had that resource, I could now guarantee a way better business and a way better product and a way faster time that just put me a little bit ahead of the product. It can be done. But first, a word from our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by Criolo Culture Clothing. Not just clothing, it's culture. Photo Boys Boston, the memory of the event. Criolo Car Concierge. All right, everybody, we're back. I wanted to share the story with you guys about, my first outsource person. Okay, I know people sometimes they hate the word or they're not familiar with the word. Outsourcing is about getting an outside business to do something that you would readily do inside. Okay, now the problem with starting your own print business is this. You cannot be the salesperson and the person behind the machine. You can if you want to make some money, because you can go get a sale, come home and do it, and then deliver it and make that money. Cool. But once your business starts to scale and move up, and now you have 3 orders a week instead of 1, now 10 orders a week instead of 3, excuse me. Then you have 20 orders. Then the orders are coming in. There's 10 orders a day. Okay? Now, they're coming in 10 orders a day because you're the one making those sales. But eventually, you have to stop and go and make those sales.
Again, it comes back to you about
produce.
the vision, right? About having that vision to do that.
Right. Now, is that the type of business you want? Do you want just hey, I just need a couple extra dollars for the month and I'm good? Then you can just turn the business away.
That's okay.
No problem.
That's okay.
But someone that wants to make this their dream, make this thrive, then you want your business to grow. Okay? So then if you take on too much, you won't be able to fulfill in time. Okay? And nobody wants to give back any money that you've already taken in. So you avoid that at all costs. So I went to this guy. He owned a silkscreen business. And the thing is, he was like literally almost walking distance, and I never knew he was there. Okay? So this is how good his business model was, because he had so much clientele that you never saw him. He didn't want local business. And when I walked in there, I'm a puny guy. I walk in, I'm like, I forget how old I was, about 21, 22 years old. And I walk in, and I'm like, and here was my strategy. This guy had a factory where he made, a lot of stuff. And I knew that, okay? So at first, I didn't want to just ask him to give me any special deals or, discounts. You can't just walk in, let me get a discount. I need this for cheap. Like, you can't really do that.
So you get to know the person.
Exactly. So what I did was I started to give him some orders. I paid whatever was on the ticket. I ordered, what's the minimum? Give me an idea of what's going on. So I printed up a couple just regular, it was sayings in my language that only people that read my language would understand. Like bandido means like a bum, right? Yeah. Like, somebody, like a vagabond kind of thing, right? Or trivido is like a mischievous kind of kid, right? That gets his hand into stuff, right? Okay. So I had to print just these things. So then, of course, because he doesn't know what's on it, it makes him ask, hey, what's up?
Mean?
Exactly. And that's my hook. I know I had a fish on the hook right there.
Yeah.
So then I told him, I said, okay, I kind of wanted to actually talk to you about these shirts. He's like, why? I was like, because I have something you might need, and you have something that I need. And he said, what could you possibly have that I need? And I said, clients. He said, really? I was like, yes. And then what about these clients? He said, well, they speak a certain language, and they'll only do business with me. Then when I pulled out my business card that had that language on the business card, he knew what that was. He's like, oh, I've heard that word around here. You're Cape Verdean. He's like, yes. He's like, you speak it? It's like, yes. Like, oh, so, I'm in tune, I'm in touch with
Right.
that community, which was starting to own business, starting to buy real estate, starting to,
Sure.
make a footprint in the area. So he knew that this is a huge market based on the numbers. So if he had someone to touch into that market, it would be a gold mine for him. I knew that he had a 25 head silkscreen machine in
So it's
there
a win-win.
that could print 10,000 t-shirts in a week.
Yeah.
So now I could guarantee printing of tens of thousands of t-shirts in a week
Right.
and not tell anyone and that's the thing, I wouldn't tell anyone because he
Making
doesn't
the
want
connection,
making the
talk.
connection.
Yep.
So now he, welcomed me in and started giving me special pricing for all this printing. I had a price sheet that was my price sheet that no one else got. Okay?
But now you form that relationship.
Right.
Now you got to deliver.
Exactly.
Now it's all about the delivery.
So I began to deliver. I began to reach out because now I can guarantee a product. See, I went the other way. You could go and get the sale first and then try to deliver. I went and made sure because I knew the product that I want.
It's a lot easier doing it that way.
Right. So you get your ducks in a row, bam, 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 bam,
Exactly.
and it cost nothing. It cost a phone call. I could have gave him the speech prior, but I wanted to kind of warm him up first to let him know that I was serious. So,
Sometimes it takes a time and a thought
right,
to get to that step.
right, and then he had a lady working at the counter at the time. She was foreign. She was Asian. So at times she had language barriers and barriers with the computer issues, right? So I would, because I'm knowledgeable in printing, I would come in and just offer my help all the time. Obviously, because you guys are printing my shirts.
Now you're an asset.
Exactly.
You're helping out.
Bam. And I'll
You're
do
not
it.
looking for anything in return.
Exactly.
You're just there
Making sure you
helping
can print my shirts.
out. Bam.
Bam. So the guy takes me in
Take that as a lesson, people, right there.
right. The guy takes me in as a family figure. He's got kids that don't want to run the business for him. I would kill for the operation that he had. Okay.
Absolutely.
But because we had the relationship we had, we found a way to work together instead of
That's a
working
win-win right
working
there.
apart.
That's what you want to do.
And then
Those are the type of relationships you want to build.
right, because he had clients like Harvard, like Martha's Vineyard, like Nike, he didn't really need my business, and I had people that owned construction companies, fencing companies, HVAC companies.
One of the things I say is to people, it's got to be two-way streets.
Two-way streets.
Can't be one-way streets.
Right.
Because there's one-way streets, it's going to lead to disaster. It's going to lead to heartache. It's going to lead to just getting out. And what you want to do is establish two-way streets. It's got to be a common goal, common ethics, common values of what you guys are doing together.
Absolutely. On the next, I'm gonna save this one for the next show because I actually want to have the person here with me. This guy was actually a direct competitor of mine. He didn't have the 25,000 shirt capacity of that guy, but he had a little bit more going on, and he had some formal training than I had. So formidably, he would have been an opponent that a dragon I couldn't slay.
Right.
It
Without that other guy's help.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. But then we were kind of like two fish in the same kind of pool, and both of us found ways to work with each other.
That's key.
And that's crazy because I had a vibe. I wanted to send him a vibe like, hey man, like I kind of want to work with you, better, as partners than like competitors, working against each other.
Yep.
But he kind of saw me doing different things, and he saw me in different areas. So he noticed, hey, this kid gets around right here. I've seen you in town. He's like, you should call me. Maybe we could do something. And that was crazy because he was an elder, and for him to say that to me, I was like, wow, I actually look up to this guy. I saw him as competition, but for him to kind of like, nah, don't nurture the kid as a hey, you little punk, get off my turf. More like, hey man,
He saw value too.
He saw the value, because of my hunger.
Yeah.
Wasn't because he saw the value of me being his opponent. It was because, hey, this kid's got some values that, maybe could become of use and of asset to me as well. And we could kind of build that two-way street. And instead of fighting over something, we could build something bigger. And to this day, we work with each other hand in hand. Even when other people try to dig the wedge,
But Will, one of the things too that I've noticed in life, and I think I've learned, I'm kind of a giving person. I give a lot. That's kind of like I'd rather see people happy and succeed. That's what makes me happy inside.
Right.
But sometimes in business, you have to say no to people.
Of course.
You have to say,
of course.
Again, sometimes it's not you're not aligned correctly the
Yes.
same way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? One's going in a different direction than you are. You both got to
Not
go
gonna
in
work.
the same direction, or it's not going to work.
Exactly.
And that's what I learned in life so far.
Exactly.
And I've been around a little bit, but again, I think the relationship, everything that you talked about, it takes all those little points to get to success. And
Right.
if you don't do it, if you think you're going to shortcut that,
Right.
you're kidding yourself.
And
If someone says it's too free, it's free.
No.
Nothing's free.
No.
Nothing's free. There's always an angle.
And I want to end the podcast with a little talk about partnerships. Partnerships. Okay. Partnerships is the most difficult thing to continue, to carry on. Okay. Partnerships have to be, the best partnership works when one person is dependent on the other. Meaning, I can't do my job until he does
Vice
his
versa.
job, and he can't do his job until I do my job. So then it's kind of like centrifugal force.
Yeah.
One side balances the other to keep going, so the other side can balance you to keep
marketing
going.
and finance. Maybe the other guy's
It's
good with
cons-
operational and sales.
And sales, yes.
You know.
So you got to find that good mesh. Do not have an operating partner that is the finance person, and then you have to do all the legwork. Don't get yourself caught up where this person just basically bought your life, where they put so much money up, and then you have to do all the work, but all the
Don't do
work
that.
requires more than two hands.
Right. And you got to have the vision for that.
Because then you're just going to end up owing them money.
Exactly. And
Okay?
That's not good.
And that's
to
not
get
good.
into.
You have a plan where both you guys put in equal, so that whatever.
Start with a basic business plan.
Right.
You can look it up. Google
Absolutely.
it. You can simple things.
If he's
that you can do.
gonna put the money up, tell him to put the money up for more people.
And I think that's the other part, Will, too, is you have to know in business you want to grow, you need to add people. You got to
Right.
have that vision to add people in the areas where you don't have that expertise or knowledge.
Yes.
And you have to be able to let it go. You have to be willing to
Oh,
find
man.
someone that has that niche
You hit it
that
right
you
on the
don't
head.
have. And that's the key to success. That's the key to business. And if everyone just finds I think the biggest thing, and I think people fail to do, is they die without following their dreams and succeeding their dreams.
Right.
That's the biggest thing,
Right.
the biggest takeaway, more than money, more than anything, is doing what you love to do won't feel like work.
Right.
Doing what you do, doing what you love. That's what we're only here for a short time, people.
And
Life goes by so fast.
It's funny. You do what you want because you love it, okay? But then people try to do it as like a career, and then when it doesn't make enough money for them, they begin to lose the love for their craft. Don't fall into that, okay? Learn to separate.
Don't be fooled.
When I listen, shirts still make money today, and I do, but it doesn't become my main business.
Right.
Okay.
You have other visions. You have other.
I
things that you come
have
off
I have
of.
an event business that I run.
Right.
I have a 9-to-5 that I got, at a car dealership.
Right.
Amazing. Just something that it's a
Right.
car dealership. It's still sales and
Any-
customer service. I'm still
Any
sharpening my
entrepreneur-
blade
Any
where I'm at.
entrepreneur will tell you need to have multiple streams.
Multiple
of
streams.
income.
So if the shirts
Residual income coming
so
in.
if the shirts don't pay the bills this month, guess what?
That's okay.
I have the bills paid some other way, and shirts is
Exactly.
still my passion. I
Exactly.
still love printing shirts. You're never going to take away, because you don't want to pay me or because I didn't make enough sales this month, it's not going to take away the passion that I have for putting my stamp on a product that I feel is premium. I want to thank everybody for listening.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Will.
Thank
This was
Frizzy
awesome
Frank,
today.
my excellent DJ for the day. This is Criolo Cultural Clothing, Willie B, the man of the hour. I'm bringing you the print podcast. Anything that you can think up, I can cook up. Criolo Cultural Clothing, not just clothing, it's culture.
Peace, love, and happiness.